The video you're about to see contains rare footage of a student actually willing to think through his preconceived ideas and work toward a logical conclusion. Over and over, this student presents arguments trying to support his position. And over, these arguments are gently dismantled by Created Equal team member Titus. Not only is this refreshing footage, but I think you're really gonna love this guy.
Let's take you
Okay.
and an unborn child.
Okay.
Are you saying that they have equal value?
Yeah. Yeah, because we're both human.
I don't think that's right.
Well, why
I
not?
very seriously think that the child is practically worthless.
Okay.
And you have value because you're living and you're here. Now, this is a hard thing to quantify because it's always like, oh, their cells, this, that.
Yeah.
Let's take a real example in the real world.
Okay.
You go to work and you get paid for providing labor for somebody else.
Okay.
You are providing a economic benefit to the world, right?
Okay.
But that kid is really an economic burden for the first people get the first jobs at 14?
Okay.
So for the first 14 years, it's basically an anchor dragging the whole economy down, right?
Okay.
You got people who are like, oh, now they need Medicare to pay for the kid. You gotta feed the kid. It just sucks.
Expensive kid.
Having a kid sucks, yeah. So why would we keep that one and possibly harm you while you're working and providing an economic benefit?
Well, here's a question.
So here this student is already showing us his hand and revealing his value system. According to his worldview, all value must be earned. It is not inherent or recognized by default. But from this standpoint, value itself becomes meaningless. If we are all by nature zeros without value, why would working and helping other humans, also natural zeros, have any real value? It's flimsy, fake value. If we are all intrinsically valueless, not only is there no value to a preborn baby, but there is no value to any person or to work, as this student is claiming there is.
Would you kill the kid so that I don't have to work for him anymore?
Would I kill the kid so that you don't have to work?
Yeah, so that I'm not burdened by him if you kill him. Are you okay with killing him?
Yes.
A born kid?
Not a born kid, but an unborn kid.
Okay. But so if you use that same illustration, but with a born kid, right?
Yeah.
We would both agree that it's wrong to kill him to solve my problems.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so, but that gets us back to the question of what the preborn is.
Right.
Because what the preborn is going to determine how we treat him. Just like, because you and I don't disagree on what we should do with born humans. We disagree on the difference between born and preborn, right?
Yeah.
So what's the difference in your opinion? What makes a born human more valuable than the preborn human?
Now, as you listen to his answer, please resist the urge to be distracted by this man who walks up merely to heckle instead of contribute to the logical conversation taking place. This is where Titus and the student really start getting into the crux of this disagreement. What makes preborn humans different from born humans? Listen closely to this student's very creative arguments.
Basically, when they're born, it's a hard process and it takes a long time.
Okay.
And that has almost inherent value. So when they come out of the womb into the world, that gives them inherent human value.
Okay.
However, when they're still inside of you, there's a lot less, I think.
Okay.
Because they're not, it's like, I don't know how to, it's hard to explain it.
Yeah.
But it's like they're not as valuable
Okay.
as if they're in the world.
Okay, what do you think gives us value?
What?
What do you think gives us value?
What gives us value mostly is it's basically finding meaning and purpose, which a lot of times basically work.
Okay.
If you don't work, you're basically useless. That's why.
So if a born person can't find meaning and purpose, is he not valuable?
Yes.
Is he? So can I kill people who haven't found meaning and
No,
purpose?
you shouldn't kill people without value, but it's his job to find value.
Okay,
or
but
provide value.
I think that the problem I have with that is, I believe as born humans we're all equally valuable.
Yeah.
But the problem is we all have different abilities to experience life and find purpose. But if we're going to use that as a value-giving attribute, that would give us all unequal value.
So you're talking about value. I don't think...
I'm talking about inherent worth.
Inherent worth.
that I think we all know we have intuitively. I think we know deep down it's just as wrong to kill a 2-year-old as it is to kill me.
I think there's I don't think everybody's the same. I think there's a low level of being human value, but as you work and as you grow up, your value increases.
Okay. So but why can't people who have more value kill people who have less value?
Because it's immoral.
Why is it immoral though if they have different value? Like, I can kill grass, and that's not immoral.
Right.
Right? But that's because the grass is less valuable than me. And so what I don't understand is if we don't all have equal value, then why can't we mistreat people who have less value? What would make that immoral if we all have unequal value to begin with? I guess that's a problem I have with that worldview.
I guess you're right, because they're human, right? So it's like you can't kill somebody because they're human. But if they're human and they're inside of you, you should be able to.
Okay, if there's equal value, right, then there must be something that gives us that value. And if value is equal, then that attribute that gives us all value must be something we all have equally, right?
Yeah.
So what do we all have equally as born humans that could give us value, equal value?
That we were born, right?
Well,
Doesn't that kind of make us...
I mean, that seems like kind of an arbitrary line, because that doesn't... Are we valuable because of...
It is an arbitrary line.
Okay.
But it's a line that I feel that we almost have to make. Okay. Because a lot of times, sometimes kids don't make it out of the woman, or like bad stuff happens. You have to terminate it early, They die, both people die. It's not a great thing.
No, I'm not pretending it is.
So it's like, if we draw that arbitrary line, it's like, hey, we made it. We're in the winner's circle right now.
I don't think we get our value from physical things. I think we get our value from who we are on the inside.
Okay.
And so, if we get our value from who we are on the inside, then we have to ask what changes about the type of thing. Because we know that, because basically arguing from birth is just like saying, well, it depends on your environment, right? Your location, where you are.
Yeah.
But we don't change in our value. We change in our environment all the time, but we don't change in value. So what do we have equally? So even environment, we wouldn't even all have equally. It's just us pulling an arbitrary line from environment to try and make it consistent.
Yeah. But what's wrong with that though? Can't we just draw an arbitrary line and say, hey, killing all these people, that's fine, and once they hit this line in life, we can't kill them? Is there something wrong with that?
Well,
that sounds like a great idea. Why don't we just do that?
I think the question is it right to do that? Because we have to ask.
You're talking morally right?
Yeah, because we've seen that examples of that in the past, right? People get in power and they decide some people don't fit that criteria.
How could both of these students be so willing to draw that arbitrary line and say that it's okay to kill some people, but wrong to kill others? The sad answer is because they both fall on the safe side of that line. Their lives won't be put in danger if we draw that line because they have already met the arbitrary standard of being born. As the young man already said in the video, they're in the winner's circle. Sadly, this view is shared by millions around the globe even if they are unwilling to admit it. Let's kill the fetus, they say, not because she's not human, but because she's not like me. This is the logical conclusion to a godless worldview where the goal is personal happiness and fulfillment, and this is why abortion is seen as completely acceptable by so many in our world.
If we all have inherent value, then there's something there. We just have to find it. We don't have to come up with it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, dude.
So what do we all have equally? Naturally, just inherently.
I guess just being human, right?
I mean,
it's such a hard thing because I agree with you on that point.
Yeah.
However, I still feel like you're wrong.
Yeah, so you don't want to take it to the conclusion, right? And I understand that.
Yeah.
Because we don't feel like, we look at a preborn human and we say, that doesn't look like us.
Hey, oh,
it's small, it's not as formed, it doesn't look like it has the same value. But if we ask what makes us all equal, I mean, sure, we're all alive, but like grass is alive too. So,
right. Yeah, so it doesn't.
I mean, really, the only thing that could give us all equal inherent worth is our humanness. And so we have to ask the question, are they human or not? And if they are, then I don't see why we should protect one human but not another in the same circumstance? Because we know people get abortions for reasons that wouldn't justify killing born humans. So why should we treat them any differently? Is there a reason?
Yeah, there is a reason.
Okay.
It's because there's no benefit to bringing that person into the world.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we kill people because we have trouble?
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, you know why I'm saying that, right? Because if we have inherent value,
then it doesn't matter. Because it's always morally wrong.
Well, yeah, if something's morally wrong, it's wrong, right? And we know that certain things are morally wrong. I mean, it's always morally wrong to rape a little kid, right?
Yeah.
I mean, certain things are always wrong.
What if it was morally right, though?
Well, that's the question we've got to decide, right?
What if killing... Okay, they're humans, right? They're humans inside of us. What if killing them was morally right?
Okay.
What if bringing them into the world was like literally bringing them into hell? Because literally, I mean, kids out there, they don't eat, they don't sleep, they're abused, I don't know, sexually assaulted.
I would ask...
There's a lot of bad things that happen. So what if we killed them to save them?
Now, here's a question.
Yeah.
Kids who are already suffering might continue to suffer.
Yeah.
What if we were to decide to kill them to save them? Born children who are going to suffer later on. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I'd be okay with killing an unborn child if it means that they don't have to suffer later on.
Okay. Well, I mean born children who are going to suffer later on. Would we be okay with killing born children who are going to suffer later on?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Because they've already endured a certain amount of suffering.
Okay.
And allowing them to live on, even though they're going to continue suffering, they've already endured a certain amount of suffering that gives them a sort of value. But an unborn child has not suffered. Like literally in their mind, the receptors for pain are not like developed.
Yeah, at early stages they're not. You're right.
So it's like they literally have not suffered.
Okay.
So they're not suffering, and then we could make them suffer. Is that more?
We're treating them as less valuable. The preborn children who are going to suffer, we're treating them as less valuable than the people who are suffering already. We're acting like suffering is a value-giving attribute.
It is.
But we don't all suffer to the same degree, and we don't have the same potential to suffer.
But I still think suffering is a value-giving attribute.
But if it is, then we would all have unequal value.
We do have unequal value. Well,
I'm talking inherent value.
Inherent value. Don't say that. You gotta stop saying that.
That's why I'm arguing.
Inherent value?
I mean, because inherent value, right, is what makes it wrong for me to kill you, right? Like...
Yeah.
And so if it exists, then suffering can't be the basis for it.
Inherent value? Inherent value as a human.
Why not? If they're human, if we get our value from being human, then we shouldn't kill them just because they're going to suffer. Because the solution to suffering is not killing a human. The solution to suffering is helping the human who's suffering. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the hard part for you guys will be following it to its logical conclusion, right? Because right now you don't feel as though they ought to have, right? Even though intellectually I think we can see they should, right? So I think we just need to follow this to its logical conclusion, and say if people are suffering, the solution's not to kill humans, it's to help everyone. I don't feel as much attachment to a preborn baby as I would a born baby, obviously. But that doesn't make them less valuable, because people's value doesn't depend on my perception of them.
I gotta leave, but thanks, man. I'll think about it.
All right.
You're pretty smart. You're pretty sharp.
Thank you.
I gotta brush up on my skills. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you didn't. Here, can I give you this?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It was very nice talking with you.
Of course.
Humans differ in many ways, but we share one thing equally, our mere humanness. And this is not an arbitrary quality, like being born or feeling pain, because being human means we are made in the image of God. Seeking value anywhere else will quickly lead to trouble and an inconsistent view of morality, as demonstrated by this student. As we expose the evil of abortion, we must point to this solid foundation for human equality and show why this matters to those so quick to draw arbitrary lines and look the other way as thousands are killed every single day. Please visit createdequal.org to get involved in this life-saving work today.